How's it going, everyone? I hope you're all doing well. It's that time of year again. It's mid-September, which, as I'm sure all of you are aware, is when Apple releases the new iPhones. Personally, I decided not to cover it because, well, it's not really my lane. Another thing that I really like about this time of year is another thing that Apple started doing a few years ago. Namely, they started keeping on the middle-of-the-road iPhone for a generation and continuing to sell it new at a discounted price. And while the iPhone 14 Pro was seriously cool with tons of new features, in fact, I actually got to try one a few days ago. Honestly, it was awesome. I wasn't particularly blown away by the iPhone 14. So today, I wanted to talk about why you may actually want to consider picking up one of these newly discounted iPhone 13. Let's talk about that.
Forever's never gone so fast.
Alright, so first of all, I want to take a look at some of the things that the iPhone 14 actually did bring to the table. First of all, the screen is exactly the same, and you know what that means? The notch is still there. Now, granted, that isn't the case on the iPhone 14 Pro. However, here we're talking about the middle-of-the-road iPhone, the iPhone I imagine most people want to buy. And yeah, it's still got a notch. Now, we did get a new selfie camera. It's not higher resolution, but it does have a wider aperture of f1.9, so low light is going to be better. Again, nice to see, but not particularly groundbreaking. Again, and this has been a little bit of a trend over the last few years, we are going to get a bigger camera sensor. We finally got 4K cinematic mode in 30 FPS. What a joke. Also, slightly more RAM, bigger battery, some more video features. Oh, and of course, it's slightly thicker, so your case won't fit. Isn't that so good? Now, I do need to mention that I do think the iPhone 14 Pro is awesome. I love the island design and how creative they've got with it. ProRes video and the 24 FPS in cinematic mode. Again, this is so stupid. Apple, put 24 FPS in cinematic mode. It's not like a hardware limitation. You could just do it with a software update. One of the first things I learned when I started shooting videos seriously is that 24 FPS is the gold standard. Motion looks smoother, and especially if you're following shutter speed rules, it will give you the most natural looking results. And typically when filmmakers break these, see The Hobbit, it leads to a generally unpleasant uncanny valley response. So making 30 FPS the default and then gatekeeping 24 FPS is not a very smart move. Well, from a video shooter standpoint, from a business standpoint, it absolutely makes sense. Absolutely ridiculous. With the standard iPhone 14 though, we do get better low light performance, sure, but the notch is still there. There's more RAM, but iPhones are typically that well optimized, it doesn't really make a difference anyway. And for most people, it's probably gonna feel like the same phone. So, for those people, I would actually recommend going with the iPhone 13, saving yourself $100 in the process. Maybe you can buy yourself an Apple case with that, and you still get a lot of the really great features that the iPhone 14 will offer due to the fact that it's an iPhone, along with the peace of mind of having a new device. So let's talk about those. Well, it essentially has a very similar camera system. Again, the iPhone 14 does just feel like a refined camera system, so while you will be seeing an improvement, you do still get two main focal lengths with a wide and an ultra wide. You get night mode on all of your angles. You get 4K video, you get amazing dynamic range, super nice colors, and of course, you do get cinematic mode, even though it's in 30. In terms of the notch, it does still have that same shrunken notch that we got on the iPhone 14. So it's not like using a notch on something like this iPhone XR. You are still going to be getting a smaller notch. Also, I said the screen on the iPhone 14 wasn't all that different. Honestly, that's not a bad thing. The screen on the iPhone 13 is absolutely phenomenal. It's super high resolution, it's an XDR display, and yeah, the screen on the iPhone 13 is one of the best I've tried all year. In terms of performance, I never had any issues watching videos or gaming. And yeah, while the iPhone 13 is a year old now, the performance and the user experience that you get from this thing is genuinely really good. Personally, I daily drove the iPhone 13 for ages, and it held up great. I didn't really find myself wanting more. Now, I am conscious of the fact that this may be due to the fact that the iPhone 14 was a little bit overshadowed by the iPhone 14 Pro, because that was such a huge upgrade. That was the biggest upgrade on the Pro side of things since, I would say, the iPhone 11 Pro. That thing is a powerhouse of a phone that I don't think most people need, myself included. I certainly won't be daily driving one. Like, typically, I really like tech, so I just use whatever I feel like using. At the moment, it's this iPhone XR. Another thing, kinda wish we'd seen some more fun colors as well. I do like the purple one, it has to be said. However, for the sake of balance, I do want to talk about a few reasons as to why you might actually want to get an iPhone 14. Okay, so elephant in the room, the iPhone 14 is the newer phone. What this means is, essentially, if you buy one one now, you won't have to think about upgrading it for at least 5 years. At least if we follow current trends. So, if you are just somebody who wants to buy a phone, keep it for a really long time and not even think about it, then the iPhone 14 could be worth that extra $100. Also, in terms of specs, it is better. So if you do really enjoy mobile gaming and you want to mobile game on this thing for a really long time, then again, the iPhone 14 will probably do this better for longer. Again, it's that longevity. I'm not saying the iPhone 14 is bad by any stretch of the imagination. However, to me, as somebody who is really into tech, I can say that personally, it was a little bit disappointing. To me, this does seem a little bit more like a 13S. I mean, I wanted the notch gone, 3 cameras as standard, and USB-C. I mean, 0 out of 3 ain't bad. But for me, this really put into perspective the value of the iPhone 13. In perspective, $100 can get you a lot of things. Hold on. This is a Squier FSR Mustang that I picked up. I think it was about $100. This thing plays super nicely. Actually gonna mod this thing soon, chuck in some single coils, put a better pick guard on. But honestly, for just over $100, I got a pretty decent instrument. $100 can go a long way. It can also get you a nice case, a MagSafe charger, because again, iPhone 13 has that too. So yeah, well, there are a couple of reasons as to why you might want to buy the iPhone 14. I genuinely think for most people, I actually think the iPhone 13 is probably the best new iPhone to buy. Like, unless you want the wicked power video features or you just really like the island, the iPhone 14 Pro probably isn't the most practical iPhone to buy. And in terms of how it compares to the iPhone 13, the iPhone 14 just doesn't look all that good value anymore. Now, of course, this does spark a different conversation. Namely, if there is one perfect value iPhone, genuinely, I think buying a phone is a very personal decision. Hence why I make these videos, so I can help you guys be better informed, because it's always nice to have a bit of external perspective. And in my opinion, the best value audience for the iPhone 14 is a pretty slim audience. Now, I don't want to slag off the iPhone 14 too much because I haven't actually tried one yet. I have tried an iPhone 14 Pro and I really liked that, but if it is as I expect it to be, then honestly, I think I'll struggle to recommend it. I don't want to encourage you to go out and buy bad value tech just because it's the newest. It means that companies can get away with producing subpar technology while still charging top prices for it. I mean, if you look at the difference between the iPhone XR and the iPhone 11, big difference. Or going from the iPhone 3GS to the iPhone 4. I really like tech, so I really don't want to see it get boring. I don't want to see companies just producing iterational technology, because that leads to things like planned obsolescence, which leads to an environmental disaster. So yeah, personally, not really a fan of that. Also, it's boring, it's expensive. Who wants to buy the same phone every year? Certainly not me. All right, been filming for a while now. Gonna take a quick break, rest my voice, make a cup of coffee. Let's do that. How to close out this video if that wasn't already obvious. I don't want to discourage anybody who's already bought an iPhone 14 and thinks it's going to be the perfect phone for them from enjoying their phone. If you think it's going to be the perfect phone for you, then great. But this video is more for people who are on the fence. They can't really decide between an iPhone 13 and 14. And if you are in that group, at least until I've tried otherwise, I do recommend going with the iPhone 13. All right, guys, so that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Let me know, by the way, what did you think of the iPhone 14 and 14 Pro? Do you think they're awesome? Do you think they're underwhelming? Feel free to let me know in the comments. I always enjoy reading those. As for now though, as always, thank you for watching. Remember to like the video if you want to see more content like this, and smash that subscribe button. I'm done for now, and I will see you guys in the next one.